So there you go. So now we're live. So anything you say at this point or do can be held against you in a court of law. So just kidding.
Said this is her first time, man, but I think she's just trying to cover up, man. You know, so we in for a treat. I don't think this is her first time, man. I think she's done time before, man. That's just a cop out. I think that's what I think. Me, I could be wrong. We in for a treat. Just in case we don't like what she's saying. She said, "Well, I told y'all," but she got something to say. I'm sure she
does. Definitely. So are we starting now, or?
Is Mark on?
Say that one more time.
Did he make it on?
Mark.
Mark.
Uh-huh.
I don't. He may be busy tonight. I'm not sure. I haven't spoken to him.
Okay, because if he were, I would get him to introduce you. That's why I asked.
Oh no, I don't. No, he's not on. I think he had some engagement tonight.
Okay, all right then. Sharon, open us up in prayer, please, sir.
Yes, sir. I'll be honest. First of all, I want to thank you, Father God, for another day. I want to thank you for another opportunity to love you, to serve you, to worship you as we love and serve each other and all others over ourselves. Father God, we just thank you for everyone that's faithful and committed to this call, no matter what's going on in life at this moment, that people are committed to, adding knowledge and adding encouragement to ourselves. So we just really appreciate you, God. We just want to be grateful. Help us to be more humble. Help us to be more obedient. And, Lord, help us to understand, to teach others how to repent, because the kingdom of heaven is at hand. So we love you, God. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Appreciate that, man. Powerful prayer, man, as always, Sharon.
Yeah.
So we're not going to prolong time. We're going to get away. Lo, you explained to her about how we go about doing it, didn't you?
Yes, sir. That piece done. We ready for you to introduce her and turn her loose.
Okay, man. This is a very interesting young lady, man. I met her, I guess, probably about 7 or 8 months ago, or whatever. Might be even be a year. By now, time passed so rapidly now, man. You can't even keep up with time anymore. I was cleaning carpet, for her boyfriend, and she was there. Anyway, she was there and what have you. So she and I got to conversating and everything, man, about various things, what have you. And I asked her then, I was so profound, I just enjoyed talking to her and about what she do. I don't run across many young females of her stature doing what she does and what have you. So now I was just blown away. I was in awe. And so now I asked her then, would she be interested in coming on sometime and, speaking to the group? And she said, yeah. She's so faithful to self. And then and I got back in touch with her again the other day, and she still held true to her word. And I feel real honored for that. And so I just pray and hope that, man, that guys got pencil and paper, ready to take good notes. And she already done been received in a great fashion already. And so I'm not going to take too much more time. So you just speak for about 25, 30 minutes or whatever. Then after that, we'll open up for some Q&A. Just pour it on us. So we all ears. We waiting. All right.
All right. Awesome. Okay, so my name is Deja Gorbia, and now I'm currently a first officer at a company called Plain Sense. We actually fly private charters. Our company is a fractional aircraft company, meaning that you're able to buy shares of our company, and pretty much like our pilots, or we fly you around wherever y'all want to go. So a little bit about me. I'm 26 years old. I am originally from Brooklyn, New York. I grew up in Red Hook Projects, and my family and I, we moved from state to state. My mom was in the military. Pretty much everybody in my family is in the military. So we grew up in Red Hook, New York. And then I lived out there until I was about maybe 8 or 9 years old. My mom decided that she wanted a better life for us. So she moved us up to upstate New York, to this city called Poughkeepsie, in which I attended middle school and, well, elementary school, and then the rest of elementary school and middle school and everything. And back then, I don't really ever remembering, like, knowing what I actually wanted to do in life, because, you know, I was just so young. I love to sing. That's something else that I like to do. So I guess I was just kind of wanted to be a singer. So she moved us to upstate New York, and we lived up there for a couple of years. And fast forward a couple of years, she moved us down to North Carolina, in which I finished high school and went to college at a university called North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. Even then, I still didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I majored in a major called political science, because I had the intentions on becoming a lawyer, and I had all these big plans and whatnot, because I was listening to, like, pretty much what other people were telling me that I should do, and I wasn't really going with what I wanted to do. And I wasn't, back then, like, I wasn't, like, I was as much into church as I am now. So I didn't really have a relationship with God. So I was just kind of aimlessly, like, wandering around, like, not really knowing, listening to other people instead of listening to God's plan for what he wanted me to do. So then I did my 4 years in college. First 2 years were rough because, like I said, I didn't really have a relationship with God, so I was kind of lost, with partying and not taking my studies seriously, and almost got kicked out of college, until finally I really started going to church and getting my act right, and was able to raise my GPA, and I graduated with honors. I'm cum laude, and I had this degree in political science, and I really didn't know, what I wanted to do. I guess, like, the next logical step for me was to go to law school. So I decided to take about a year off of school instead of going straight from college to law school, because I wanted to travel, and I had been in school all my life, and I wanted to work on my relationship with God as well. So I took a job in Atlanta, Georgia, as a flight attendant for Pinnacle Airlines at the time. All I knew is that I wanted to live in Atlanta. Like, that's just where I had always wanted to be. So God made that happen for me, and he opened up the door for my flight attendant job. So I was a flight attendant for about maybe 2 to 3 years. And during that time, I was still actively, like, building a relationship with God, and just kind of able to, like, was more receptive to what he was doing in my life and where he wanted me to go. So one day, like, I was talking to my family, and they were like, well, maybe, how do you feel about the military? And I was like, I don't know, like, let me pray on it and see, if this is something that I wanted to do, because being a flight attendant was fun, but I didn't feel like I was challenging myself enough. So I decided to go into the military, to the Army Reserves, in which I took a job as a 42 Alpha, which is human resources, and I did my basic training and my AIT, and I got out of the military and everything. Well, out of my training, and I still had my flight attendant job, and I was like, I don't think this is what I want to do anymore. Like, I feel like God is calling me to do more. And so that's when I made the decision to enroll into flight school, into this school called ATP Flight School. So got into flight school and moved out to Houston, Texas by myself, and was in flight school, working 2 jobs, and going to flight school for full time, to try to support myself and where I was living and my bills. And Sally Mae and them was, like, calling me and everything, so I was trying to pay my bills and everything for Sally Mae and stuff. And by the grace of God, I was able to get all of my ratings, I'll get all of my pilot ratings and become a flight instructor and I was able to progress to the next level. So after I finished flight school, I took a job as a flight instructor at this school called Falcon Aviation Academy. So I moved back to Atlanta from Houston, and I was working as a flight instructor teaching Chinese students how to fly, because what my school did was they would, go over to China, and the Chinese airlines would hire my school to pretty much pay the people that they picked out for their airlines how to fly. So these students were coming from China over to Atlanta, Georgia, or to Noonan, and trying to learn how to speak English, and then trying to learn how to fly an airplane. And this was my first job out of flight school as a flight instructor. So being a flight instructor is already kind of like a little challenging in itself. So trying to teach these students English on top of learning how to fly was definitely a challenge. And honestly, like, I think I know the only way I was able to get through that job and to progress to where I am now is seriously by the grace of God, because sometimes I would have days where I'd be like, I don't even know if I'm cut out for this. And I would just pray, and that's how my relationship with God was able to grow, because I was going through tough times. I didn't really have anyone to lean on except for him, and he was able to like guide me and get me through to the next level. So I did that. I did flight instructing for the Chinese students for maybe, 5 to 6 months, and I was able to get on with an airline called, it's a little commuter airline. It was called Southern Airways Express. So I had to move to Morgantown, West Virginia, where I really knew no one, and was there like learning, not learning, but like pretty much flying people from Pittsburgh to Washington Dulles Airport, just doing like short little commuter hops up north. And I thought that being a flight instructor was challenging, and that me going to this new Southern Airways Express company was going to be like golden. But I was wrong. When I got there, there were a whole new set of challenges, like nothing that I could have ever imagined, or nothing that I had ever experienced while being a flight instructor. It's just like a whole level up of new challenges that I ended up facing at that company. So I'm not quite sure if you guys want me to go into detail about those challenges, or if you just kind of want me to keep going, like breezing through, or I don't know. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Yeah,
I just didn't know if you wanted me to go more in depth about like the challenges that I faced at Southern, or if you just kind of wanted me to brief. Okay. So like I said, there was like a whole new set of challenges when I got to Southern Airways Express. One instance, I was pretty low time pilot at the time, and was flying with this older man who had way more time than me. And time is total time in this industry is everything. So I think I had maybe like 300 hours, and this guy had like 1,500 hours. So, one day we had to go to Washington D.C. to bring people over to Washington D.C. and it had happened to be snowing and icing that day. And me being a low time pilot, I asked the captain. I was like, hey, is it? Do you think that we can go? Because I'm looking at all the charts and the graphs, and it just doesn't look safe to go. He's like, no, we're fine. So getting in the plane, and I'm getting that feeling, I'm like, oh, I think God's trying to tell me, like, not to go, or, you know, just something was, my spirit just wasn't sitting right. So anyways, I didn't listen to that voice, which I should have. Got in the plane with the passengers, and we took off, and as sure as you know it, I actually had to take the plane from the captain because he pretty much didn't know what was going on. He was coming to find out he was a new captain. He didn't know anything about the aircraft as far as like how to get rid of the ice on the wings or how to program things in the plane. So here I am, this low-time pilot, flying these passengers in the snow and in the ice. And I honestly believe that God really just doesn't put more on you than what you can bear. So at that moment, I knew that he was with me and that I would be able to get out of that. So what I ended up doing is I took the plane from the captain, turned back around, and we were able to land safely. And come to find out to this day, that captain has gotten fired because he just was very unsafe with other people. So after that instance, shortly after that instance, I left the company and got hired down here at this company called PlaneSense, which is where I am now, located in Atlanta, Georgia. And the story with that is, so for their requirements for being hired, they wanted you to have like 500 to 600 hours. I just so happened to pick up the phone and call the number one day that was on the site, and I just so happened to get the lady that was in charge of the human resources department. So she was pretty much the boss. And I called her. I was like, ma'am, I've been trying to apply, with you guys for months now and been sending in resumes. And she's like, well, how much time you had? And I think I had like maybe 350 hours. And she's like, well, here's what we'll do. She was like, we will give you an interview. And if you do good at the interview, we'll hire you, but you can't come to work with us until you reach 500 hours. So I'm like, okay, cool, bet. So I'm like doing, preparing myself for this big interview and everything. And the devil is always busy. So like I would say like maybe 2 weeks before I'm due for this really, really big interview, my uncle, who was pretty much my father, dies. So I'm like just distraught and like crying and like trying to get through the interview, like studying for this interview and everything. And I can't reiterate enough that God really just doesn't put more on you than what you can bear. And in that time, like I really, really, really had to lean on him to help him get me through the passing of my father, my uncle. So he had died, and his memorial was actually the day before or the day after I was supposed to have my interview. So I ended up having to miss his memorial. And in doing so, I got the job, and I was able to get the job at 300 hours or 350 hours because I did so well in the interview. And I couldn't thank God enough, like, for getting me through that really, really difficult time. So I got the job, and a few months ago, I went through training and everything, completed everything that was on top of every single profile or airspeed or just anything that they were giving to me, because I was leaning on God and everything. So, and now I'm just like really happy at this job, and it's such a blessing like to even be here. And I was talking with one of the my chief pilots, and he was like asking me, he was like, yeah, so what's your story and everything? He was like, did you know somebody to get hired here? I was like, no, I don't know anybody. And I was like, I actually just so happened to call up to the Human Resource Department one day, and spoke to Elaine, that was her name, and she actually just offered me an interview at 350 hours or whatever it was. And he was like, wow. He was like, you are very, very lucky because we are so selective. He was like, actually, I think in Atlanta they interviewed 70 people and they only took 30 people from the interviews, from the batch of interviews that they had conducted. And I just so happened to be one of those people that they took. And he was like, everybody, and I'm pretty sure everybody in your class has like way more higher time. And it was true. Everybody that was in my ground class and everybody had like thousands of hours. And here I am with just barely at 500 hours, rolling with the big dog. So I just, honestly, all I can really do is thank God that he even got me through this process. And I'm doing very well at the job now, and I'm happy, and I don't have anybody else to thank but God. So that's pretty much it. I don't know if that was quite 20 or 25 minutes, but that was my story, and I hope it like really, really inspired you. And if you guys have questions, or I'm so willing to answer anything that you guys may need to ask.
Wow, that was a powerful story, man. That was very charming. I know you are very proud. I know your people are very proud of you, and I know that was a very, very prideful moment when you took over that plane, when that guy knew of what he was doing. I guess once you landed there with the pump in your fist, yes, I can do this.
Honestly, I almost kissed the ground when we got there.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. And that one particular that you really had to put self to the side. You wasn't no time to start having a pity party, this and that. At that particular time, it wasn't about you, but it was up to you. Because there'll come a point in time in all of our life, it's not about us, but it's up to us. So that was one of those times. It wasn't about you, but it was up to you. Because if you hadn't done what you done, who knows, you might not be here tonight telling that story. And so that was saying that. But God, you riding on the wings of God that particular night. So that was awesome. That was awesome. That was a very charming story. So what was some of your I'll probably get to that later. So I'm gonna open it up and let some of the other guys have some questions for you. And that was a very charming story, and I really, really appreciate that. That was powerful.
Oh, good. Work for you.
Anybody got any questions for D? Take a step off.
I don't have a question, but I sort of have something to comment of what she said.
Okay, go ahead.
I am completely astonished because, I mean, to be able to take over and fly a plane with, your life and other people's, life in your hands at that moment, be able to keep your composure and land that plan and do what needs to be done and, get it done. That's just, wow. And,
thank you.
And, when you were talking about, you realized you needed to get your studies together and your relationship with God got closer, that just sort of made me think, like, nothing in life, the only thing that is promised in life is the cemetery. So, I don't know, I just thought that was cool how, you realized you needed to turn things around and get back on track. So.
Yes, definitely.
That's all I have to say.
Definitely agree. Well, thank you for your comment. What was your name?
Say that again?
What was your name? Thank you for your comment.
Jordan Williams.
Oh, nice. Nice to meet you, Jordan. Cool.
Nice to meet you, too.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments?
And you really were very profound, because that guy only 14 years old. And now a 14-year-old wouldn't speak up, wouldn't say anything. They'll be sitting back in the
Right.
It takes courage, so you must really pull something out of him. And so that particular guy, he going to be our speaker next week. And so if you like, you come back next week and listen to what he got to say.
Oh,
so
definitely.
So we here every Monday night, so you're welcome to chime in at any moment. So that was powerful. Are there anyone else? Talk to me, somebody.
Well, Frank, this is Lo. First of all, I just want to thank her for she has a very diverse background and has an amazing story from her upbringing, and the fact that you've been a part of the Army Reserves is even a more plus, because I know what it takes to go through basic AIT and all of that stuff, and then join a unit and go through the process and transition careers and stay focused and grind on faith until something happens. But as I listen to your story, you can see how God was setting you up. He was setting the stage to give you the confidence in Him that you needed to do the job that you're doing today, using the plane experience as an example, because you didn't have the hours really to do something like that, but usually that takes someone with 1,000 hours. Some people with 2,000 hours wouldn't have been bold enough to do what God gave you the faith to do at that time. And that just reminds me that impossible odds set the stage for amazing miracles. And so God put you in a situation where some impossible odds had set the stage for amazing miracles to happen. And all of those people, they remember that. They will remember that the rest of their life. And just as you remember it, and now that you told us, we will remember it. Sometimes God allows the odds to be stacked against you so He can reveal more of His self to you, and that's what sound like took place. And if we, in reflection, sometimes we just got to sit back and say, well, let me see if I can see God in this situation, after the fact, and that's when you'll realize that sometimes God allows these odds to be stacked against you so He can reveal more of His glory to you, because you decide to subscribe to His faith, subscribe to Him through faith. So I just want to commend you for stepping out courageously and sharing your story. Again, I believe personally that we are the greatest evidence that Christ exists, and it's important for us to be able to tell our stories, because not everybody will subscribe to Scripture. Not everybody will ever hear the Word of God, but what they can do is hear His creation. So thanks.
No problem, and thank you. Those are very, very encouraging words that you just gave. So thank you for that. But most definitely, I really, really did enjoy sharing my experience with you guys. So I don't know if there's anybody else that has any comments or questions.
Yeah, we really enjoy listening to it as well. Anyone else have anything?
I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you for coming on the call. I really appreciate this. Bringing like a different voice, a different, outlook on life. Appreciate that. And we just want to give you accomplishments, because for you to be so young and basically be a pilot, like you're not only a pilot, you teaching other people how to be a pilot at such a young age, and that's big. So I just want to congratulate you on that, and I could definitely keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you. And what's your name?
My name is Sharon.
Oh, okay. Nice to meet you. But thank you so much. Thank you.
So Frank, do we got any other females on the call tonight?
I don't know. Are there any more females on the call tonight?
Yeah, my wife's on the call right here.
Okay, yeah, just talk to her.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. And yes, again, just to echo what my husband said, congratulations on everything. Your story is definitely inspiring and just, so diverse, and just showing other young women and just young people in general and older people, you can just, God is amazing. You never know how He'll use your test to turn into your testimony. So thank you for sharing everything.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing well. First of all, I'm sorry. My name is Jakia Parker. I just want to agree with everything that everyone else is saying, that your story is very powerful, but most importantly, the fact that you have God in your life, even through all your trials and tribulations, everything is possible because you believe in Him. So that's one of the key points that I wanted to say to you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that is so true. If it hadn't been for Him, I don't think I would even. I know I wouldn't be where I was today. So yes, I definitely agree with you, and thank you for your comment.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Sound like there's a cricket in the background. Anyone else hear that noise?
Yeah, I'm actually outside. I'm at Kroger waiting on my people to come out. I'm just.
Oh, okay. I know it sounds like I heard out there in the jungle.
You have to enjoy the wilderness.
Now, I did have a question for you. So, being as young as you are, and then being a female and being in the aviation industry, being an African American female, what have been some challenges as it relates to that, and how have you overcome that?
Good question.
Oh, yes, that was a great question. Well, I mean, just there's always a big elephant in the room. You know, when I show up to any type of plane or ground school for aviation or anything, and just getting looks and having people question me, and having people question where I've gone to school and what I've done and what type of airplanes I've flown, and just always, I guess I could say, like, I always feel like I have to work twice as hard to be taken seriously in the industry. I mean, if that's definitely my number one challenge that I've encountered numerous times being in this industry. So yes, does that answer your question?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it just really helps some of the other, female callers that's on the call to give them a shared perspective of because they might have similar experiences, and I would be interested to hear from all the females on the call with any challenges in your career and how you've overcome them. Because that helps us as men understand you a lot better, and some of the things that you go through where we need to be more sensitive and protective and reinforce and be encouraging you when you come home. So if there's some other females, if you've had experiences on your job similar and you have a story of how you've overcome it, please share.
This is Tiffany. I'll say I probably just face the same challenges everybody does, like with just trying to advance and keep your head down and work, and you just got to deal with different personalities, and anytime you work with a lot of women, there's a lot of emotion. So trying to be that leader and bring in, first of all, God, and then just bring in that energy and that consistency and that joy can be challenging sometimes. But I say the most recent challenge that I face is in school. I'm finishing my MFA at a art school, and one of the things that I noticed was that, we'll have discussions, and whenever I speak, it's like there was a tone of kind of a mistrust or uncertainty. And, without going on about my background or all the things that I've experienced, I would just speak from a place of confidence, but it's like whatever I said wasn't accepted. It's like whatever everybody else said would be just like, oh, agreed with and congratulated and encouraged. But when I spoke, there was a lot of uncertainty. And so it's something that I started to notice over the years. And it was a little discouraging at times, and I would come home and tell my husband about it. But what I started doing was I just started letting my work speak for itself. if I would have let my emotions get the best of me, I would have gotten into arguments and discussions with professors and other classmates. But what I did was just kind of keep my head down and work diligently and let that 4.0 speak for itself. So I'm finishing my MFA now. I start my thesis this summer and defend in the fall. And at this point, I've gained the respect from my peers and my professors, and even sometimes still, I've heard comments from professors like, "Oh, well," like this past quarter, I'm like, "Well, after these 2 classes, I'm done. I do my thesis and I'm out." And one of my professors said, "Well, we'll see about that," and he didn't say that to anyone in the class. Yeah, so it's just things like that I said, okay. I said, all right, God, I already see what I'm up against, but I know who you are, and I know who you made me to be, so I just have to let the work speak for itself. And I feel like that's something that we may face a lot of times as women and also as Black women. It's having to prove ourselves every single day. So I would say that's probably the most recent challenge that I personally face.
Oh, yeah.
Why is that there are a lot of emotion amongst women and stuff on these jobs and stuff? Why is that? Is there a lot of envy or jealousy or what? What is that? Just insecurity or what is it? Because I hear a lot of women all the time say that. Anytime you get a lot of women together, this and that, blah, 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 emotion, erupts and stuff. Why is that?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I grew up with 3 sisters and my mom and dad, and I got a chance to, I'm the middle child, so I did a lot of observing. And I think because we have to face so much on a daily basis of who we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to act, how we're supposed to look, despite having a menstrual cycle or giving birth, or the fact that we are more emotional beings, we're still expected to put on the same game face as everybody else, no matter what is going on. So I think it's kind of like a cry out for help is something that Sharon taught me. Evil is a cry out for help. I noticed that just a lot of women, once you break past that surface, they have so much going on in their personal lives that cause them to be that way. I think it's just life, I'm not saying that men don't face so many challenges as well, because I know that they do. But I do know as a woman, just even coming in during your cycle, it's challenging. I don't know about everybody else, but, depending on your body, you can just be in some excruciating pain, and you're expected to sit there and focus and still produce on the same level as everybody else. And it can cause you to act out. They may be a little bit more angry or bitter towards another woman because they see themselves in that woman. They may see what they want to be or what they don't want to be in another woman. And so I think that's where a lot of that competitiveness comes from, and bitterness and jealousy sometimes, and pettiness. But I've noticed with a lot of women, even some of the most challenging, that once you break past that surface, that there's some kind-hearted, vulnerable, women's been through a lot of things. So I think that may be, one of the reasons.
That very well may be true, but, and I think it maybe have a lot to do with, just like you said, Sharon taught you some things, and hey, see, you came into your own, so like you said, you just let your 4.0, speak for itself now. You know who you are. I think a lot of that having a lot of insecurity, not knowing who you are, because once you know who you are, you don't get caught up on what other people say, what's going on around you, because you know who you are. You know what you're going to participate in and what you're not going to participate in. And at that particular time, once you know who you are, you live by principles and what have you. Once you start living by principle and all that other stuff, you're able to squash it out. You don't let it enter into your space. You got a certain type of space that you're living in and what have you. I'm not going outside this rim right here. You're living in this circle right here. Then all that other stuff, that dogma and stuff, you don't let that bother you. But when you don't really know who you are, you let everything upset you. It cause your emotion to erupt. And what have you. I think that have a lot to do with it. And that's the same way with a lot of men. A lot of men don't really know who they are. That's why they're so easy to get upset. You said this about me, this and that certain thing they say. They get upset because you don't know who you are. That's why the Bible tells you in all that ways, know thyself. See, once you know yourself, you can pretty much deal with anything. You can deal with anything. That's the key. So we're going to get back to the speaker, because I won't take too much. I'm sure we got a few more questions we want to ask her and what have you. That sounds like I heard somebody about ready to come in and say something. Go. Did I hear somebody about ready to say something? Okay. I got a few more questions right here. D, what advice would you have for someone or some young person that would love to go into that field? What advice would you have? What kind of encouragement would you give them?
That's a good question. Definitely. I mean, there's always going to be like really, really rough days. And it's always good to just have a good support system, to have just, you know, people in your corner encouraging you and speaking to you, and just, you know, just having people there as a support system, and just never give up, and just always, you know, keep pushing through. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've wanted to give up as a pilot, but I've had people in my life that have helped encourage and support me, and just be the shoulder that I need to cry on. And then most importantly, just always keep God at the center of things and in your corner. He's always in your corner. Like, you know, he'll just never forsake you. And, you know, you have other people will leave and turn their backs on you, but God will always be there. So, yeah, have your support system, but always make sure that you keep God at the center of the relationship as well. And that's the advice that I would have to give.
How will you go about finding that support system? What do you look for?
I would look for people with similar experiences, maybe
good.
Similar stories, maybe, you know, I have female friends that are pilots that I talk to, and then, you know, my friend Mark he's a pilot, and he was able to, you know, talk to me and help support me through things. So just, I would say, look for people that have similar interests, that may be in the same field, or just maybe just even people that have a good relationship with God, and you see God moving in their lives, and maybe you can ask like what they do in order, you know, to have God in their life. And that would be my advice. I don't know if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And you look for them people. Is there a certain place where there's a pool of these kind of peoples hanging out? Are there places like where they network or what have you?
Oh.
And well, you know, what kind of networking event would you look for if you want to get around some of them kind of people and start hanging around some of them kind of people? Where will you find them at?
Well, I know on Facebook they have like different groups that are tailored to, you know, aviation. Like, I'm a part of a few Facebook groups. One called Women in Aviation, and there's just like all the women that you can think of just in that one group that are in aviation, and that we communicate a lot with each other in that group. And then there's another group called the Underground, something along those lines, and pretty much it's like all the Black or African American pilots and people in aviation in that group, and that's how they communicate with that within that network. So Facebook is a good source, like social media and everything. As far as outside of Facebook, I was able to make relationships with people because I was in the aviation industry as a flight attendant. So some of my relationships carried over from pilot now. So that's how I was able to find people.
Okay.
And I would like to build on that question, Frank, a little bit.
Go ahead.
Because I think all of us have setbacks in life. All of us have tough times. All of us have unexpected events when life happens to us. And I think it's very important that we have what I call a recovery team. Who are the 2 or 3 people around you that you consider your recovery team, that you can depend on and trust in the toughest times, especially like when your uncle passed away? Who is that recovery team that helped put you back together like Humpty Dumpty here?
Well, that was, first it was my mom. She's definitely always there. And then Mark. And then I have two really good friends named Jennifer and Kelly. So those are the people that have really, really been there for me when things got tough. So that's my recovery team.
And that's good. And I want I want everybody on the call to walk away understanding that it's important. They can't do life alone. Everybody needs a recovery team. You just need to think about those people that you trust the most to handle your heart when in the most difficult situations. So thank you for sharing your recovery team with us.
Oh, no problem.
That was good, Lo. I like that, man, the recovery team. You're absolutely right. Because that's why it's so important, man. You know, the world will make way for the one who knows where they're going. That's when you know where you're going, what have you. Then when you have these setbacks or what have you, man, you got that recovery team, you won't stop. You'll continue to keep going because I realized a long time ago, man, life is 10% of what happened to us and 90% of how we respond to it. So that's why it's so very vital to have a recovery team. I love that, man. That's powerful.
Absolutely, Frank. And we all always focus on, who is our success team, who's the team that builds us up and takes us to victory, but we never consider failure. We never consider hurt. We never consider pain. We never consider a team for, recovery. We always, establish a team for success, but we never focus on a team for recovery. So I hope that changes your perspective and make you kind of think about who those people are in your life.
That's a fact. Like I said, you may have some people in your recovery team that pretty much understand you and have been through some of the things that you're going through now. Because that's why they always say never take a lesson from a person who never played the game.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting that she said, people who are in her field because they understand the context of what what she's they can relate to her experience, the particular things she might be dealing with, and then other people in life who so it's just you just got to kind of choose the people strategically that you associate with. Everybody should be purposed. Nobody should just be your friend or connected to you just because because God works through people. I believe something has to be produced when two believers connect. I don't think God will allow that connection to be in vain.
That's a fact.
That's true. Yep.
I got a couple more questions for you, right quick.
Okay.
What are one of your biggest regrets that you had since you've been flying?
Since I've been flying, I would say maybe one of my biggest regrets is I wish I would have went to flight school earlier on in age. That would have to be my biggest regret. I would definitely say that is wishing that I've gone to flight school when I was in my early 20s. So, yeah.
I'm a firm believer, like things happen when they happen. That when some people ask me sometimes, well, man, I've been doing this for quite some time, man. When this right here going to take place? I said, I don't know. It will happen when it happens. Because if it just so happened, like I said, we have to bloom while we have to bloom while we plant it. We have to bloom while we plant it. Because let's just so happen now. Running back, it just so happened if you had went to flight school during that particular time, maybe you wouldn't have had the instructor that you had attained when you did go, and maybe they could have caused you to not even want to go through with it. And then just so happened, you wouldn't have been able to have this experience when that guy or when you had to take over that flight, and a lot of people could have lost their life. So God, it was in it. At that particular time, he was preparing you. And so just, because maybe there could have been someone else on that flight at that particular time, but just like that guy didn't have a clue or didn't have the gumption in order to take over or what have you. So God was preparing you. So I understand what you're saying about some of your big regret, but that's probably reason because God got this. We was in God's hand. God got this. Everything happened for a reason. Because sometimes we can go into something too soon and mess out of it and what have you. But, so I know you're saying we all have the regrets and everything about certain things in our life, but you bounce back and you recover well because you're doing extremely well. And go ahead, sing like I heard you, Lo.
No, you good, Frank.
Okay, then you want to respond to that? Then I got one more right quick. Then we approaching our closeout time. You want to respond to that?
Me or Lo?
You.
Oh yes, I definitely agree with everything you're saying. I do think that everything happens for a reason, and I didn't think of it that way. Like, if I would have went to flight school, maybe I would have had like a different instructor that would have, I really didn't think about it that way. So you put things into perspective for me with what you just said. So yeah, I definitely agree that everything is on God's timing. So yep, I think what you said is very, very true, for sure.
And I'm pretty sure one of them you already done shared with us. What are one of your biggest wow moments?
One of my wow moments.
One of your biggest wow moments.
My biggest wow moment was, I would have to say when I went in to, when my uncle had died and was able to make it through, and I would definitely say that was my wow moment, because that gave me a really, really big boost of confidence. Like, man, if my dad, or excuse me, if my uncle could die and I can make it through this interview with this low time and not nearly as qualified as these other pilots and still be able to make it through, but what's stopping me? Like, like if God is for me, then who else is against me? Like, what can stop me? If I put my mind to anything, you can do anything. So if you put your mind to anything, you could do anything. So that would have to definitely be my biggest wow moment.
That's powerful right there. So imagine, you seen yourself flying that plane and everything, because like I said, you cannot hit a target you cannot see. That's what I tell people a lot of times. They want to do this, they want to do that. I said, first thing you have to see it in your mind. You have to have visualization. You got to be able to see yourself doing it, because you cannot hit a target you cannot see. And I'm sure you've seen yourself flying. You flew. You probably flew many times before you flew. Because you seen yourself flying. That's what called. What was your also what was your factor that pretty much made you really? I might have missed. You might have shared that with you on the front end. Your factor that caused you to really want to go into flying. You might have shared that. Seemed like, because I was busy doing something. I was multitasking. And I might have.
Oh no, you're fine. I would say what really called me into flying was when I got when I was a flight attendant, I didn't feel like I was challenging myself enough, and then I jumped into the military, and then once I got out of basic training and everything, I didn't want to be a flight attendant anymore. I wanted to challenge myself. So the next logical step for me was to become a pilot. Because I just remember I would look up there, like when I was serving drinks and getting done serving drinks, I would look up there and I'd be like, I can definitely do that. So that was what intrigued me to be a pilot and stuff like that.
Wow, I imagine the very first time when you took hold of that wheel and you got that thrust up off the ground and you got it there and you got stable, and I know that was a wow moment right there. Wow, I'm actually a plane. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yep.
Imagine. My heart goes out for you. It really does. Being so young and everything, and knowing what it is that you want at an early age. Because there is so many young people don't know what it is they want. And that's really so far behind and catching so much hell in life, because they don't have a clue in what it is that they want. So they continue to just study chasing this and chasing that, and they start something and never complete it. They'll start something, never complete it. And that's because they're confused. They're confused, in their mind. And so especially in their 20s and what have you. So you got a career in your 20s and you very satisfied with it. And so you going places. I mean, you already places. You going places. And and you're going to touch a lot more people's lives than you can imagine, because you got people from afar watching you, and you don't even have a clue that they're watching you. So that's why you got to continue to right in a sense, because you got a lot of young people watching you.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. Definitely.
Because we don't run across black pilots, especially females, every day. Even a male, we don't run across them every day. You know, that's a blessing. That's a blessing.
Yes, it is. It
surely
is.
A lot of people. So I wish you would start going. You said this was your first time you ever spoke. You said.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Yes.
So next year, when school stuff started, I'm gonna be calling on you. I would love for you to go into the school system and start talking to the young people and what have you. Because I goes into the school system, you know, doing career days and this and that. So I'm gonna be calling on you and seeing what your schedule like and seeing your availability. Will you be able to come out and go into the school? And they would love to hear that story, because a lot of them don't have a clue what it is they want. And then once they hear your story, then they can see themselves doing that. You know, that's venture. They don't, you know, a lot of them are very adventurous, but they don't know what venture to take.
Yeah, I would definitely be interested in that. Please, yep. I would definitely love to speak to more people.
Okay. And also, we got a few more minutes right quick. We got about 3 more minutes. Also, we're going to be having a conference coming up, a youth conference coming up in September, and I would love to put you down as one of the speakers and all, too.
Okay. Yes, that sounds awesome.
Okay.
Sure. Yes, that sounds awesome.
Okay. Are there anyone else got anything else? Any questions or aha or what have you for Dee before she go? And I'm just overwhelmed. I really thank you for coming on tonight. You don't know how you made my day.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And I would love to be able to take you and Mark out to lunch one day.
Oh yes, just let us know.
Find out when it'd be a good time when both of you all in town and what have you, and then give me a call and let's set something up and we go eat lunch one day.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll do.
You know, Mark spoke to us once before, so he's going to speak to us again within about 2 or 3 weeks. I spoke to him.
Oh, okay, nice.
He'll be speaking again within another few weeks.
Okay, cool.
Okay. All right, anyone else got anything you want to say? Okay, everybody a little quiet tonight. Okay, when Lo, you got any more closing word?
Again, just to reiterate, everybody around you don't want you to recover when life hits you. So it's important that you refresh your circles. You know, this young lady on the call tonight was able to bounce back from all of her adversity because she had a good, solid recovery team. People she trusted, people that cared about her, and as a result, she was able to get on her feet and be one of the best in her field. So I'm excited about knowing her. I hope to get to meet her one day. It's always nice to put a face with a name. I'm also a active duty colonel in the Army, so
nice.
it's even a pleasure just to see a fellow Army reservist doing great things outside after they've transitioned. So keep like we always tell them, keep talking. You're saying something.
Absolutely, Sharon. Talk to us, Sharon. It's the last word.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to say thank you for this call. I really appreciate all the knowledge that I gained tonight. It makes me, understand from a woman perspective kind of what they go through. Like, so now us as men, we can't even complain. We got to make sure we help out even more, because they like, to be a black male is hard enough. To be a black female, that kind of puts all the odds against you. So, we appreciate all the hard work that y'all do, and like, we wouldn't be great without y'all. So we appreciate that. And I just want to thank God again for just another call, another just wisdom building and just like networking, man. There's nothing greater than this, especially a world of social networking. Ain't nothing social about it, and ain't nobody networking. So, I mean, I appreciate this. This is real social. Thank y'all.
Hey,
Thank you.
That's why we it's so important for us to come together like that, because anytime when you are dealing with something, sometimes just like when you come on this broadcast, you may be dealing with some kind of issue. You finding someone to hold your hand and helping you walk through it. So that's why it's so important for us to come together, man, as a people, man. We strengthen one another, because we never know, because we get down over the course of a day. And then when we come on a broadcast or something like this right here, we get refreshed, because I'm sure somebody going to speak and say something that's going to give you just a little more energy, there's a little more finesse to carry on. They're going to touch on what you dealt with today. Nobody know that but just you, because it's a nugget, man. So that's why it's so important to come on broadcasts like this. So like I always say, we're so much better together. We got to start pooling our knowledge together, man. We got to. We try to do too much by ourselves. I got mine, you get yours. That's a selfish approach. We got to get away from that selfish approach, and we got to start coming together, sharing more. We got to. That's what God wants. That's why we are the people so far behind, because we don't share. I got mine, you get yours. We feel like the more I know, the less you know, the better I am, and I'm so much further ahead of you. It's not about that, It's just so much fun and so much better when you can grow together, man. When you can do something or say something that can really help somebody get over the hump, man. It's just a good feeling. You can't explain it. You can't find the words to explain that, So, D, we'll let you have the last words, and you can close us out with prayer. And once again, I really appreciate you coming on, sharing with us tonight. You were very, very profound, very uplifting. You really blessed all our hearts tonight. And I thank God for you. We're good. And I'm just so glad I know you. It's all yours. Take it away.
I'm so glad I met you too, and I just really, really want to thank you guys for just even having me on this call. Like, I'm so grateful that you guys even would want to listen to little old me. So thank you so much.
And also, I will take you to replay. You can go back and listen to the replay and listen to yourself how good you done.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you.
And it should be up within an hour or so.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Cool. And so I guess I just want to thank you guys for this phone call on tonight, and giving me the words of my and experience that I had to share with all these people here tonight on the call. And I just really ask that you continue to bless each and every one that's on this call, and that's in me, and keep us safe, and help everyone get their recovery team together, and help everyone stay on track and doing what they need to do. In Jesus' name I do pray. Amen.
Amen. You got an humble spirit. I can just hear it in your voice. Very humble. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Love you, everybody.
All
Good
right.
night.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, y'all ain't